Let's get into the picks. Let's rock and roll here, boys. All right. So first things first, I did some digging here. I made notes on this. I'm still going to get roasted. I know for a fact. That I'm going to get roasted. But I did my homework here. Okay. I was hungry for this. I'm feeling really good about this. This is a 6-game parlay. Okay. $8 bet pays out $486. Okay. It's a parlay. It's what you should expect here. Let me go ahead and get my notes pulled up. The first game we have is Notre Dame versus Ohio State Buckeyes. It's a 17 or 15 point favorite, I believe. I was going to say 17. Did someone just become a member, or is that a subscriber? Member? Who is it? Rob Little. Let's go, baby. Welcome to the family, my man. All right, so it's 17 Ohio State to cover. Ohio State is a powerhouse football team right now. Notre Dame is coming in with a new coach. It's in Ohio State. Notre Dame is not a 5th-ranked team. We've talked about that. I can see that they got some depth coming back. I did support it, I think, in the last time, but I don't think it's a 17-point favorite for a reason. Ohio State is they were the number 1 offensive team last year. Their defense is where they struggled. Their defense was, I think, ranked 50. They're plus 50th, maybe 40 to 50. Their defense is dialed in. Okay, it's much more mature. They got a lot of people coming back. I don't think this is close. I really don't, and I have 100% on Ohio State cover. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. This, to me, was probably one of the easier ones. Okay.
Let me ask you this real fast before you move on. We do have a couple of similar games on our parlays. Do we want to talk about some of the ones that we have that are the same, or you want me to go down?
You can do it. You can do it separate. You can do it separate.
All right, let's go.
We'll keep it separate. The next thing they have is West Virginia over Pitt. So this one I was going to put West Virginia like no problem covers the 7.5. Then I did some digging because Pittsburgh lost Tiny Hands and the number 1 receiver in the country, and I was like, there's no way they recover. I looked at it. Their defense is all coming back, so the defense is still what it was, if not better. And they have a transfer from USC, the quarterback from USC, which to me, West Virginia also is getting JT Daniels, who I was kind of sold high on, but we're in the same boat. They both are getting transfers. Did we get another member? Who was it? Marshall Watkins. Let's go, baby. Welcome to the family, man. Let's get it. I love it.
I have this whole thing done by the middle.
Yeah, you're going to. So I looked at it. The defense there. West Virginia is pretty weak elsewhere. They've got a lot of sophomores coming in, juniors on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of things. And again, with JT Daniels coming in, it's almost a wash with Pittsburgh getting a new team. So only 7.5 is almost a little disrespectful. I think you could almost give Pitt 10.5 and they still cover. So to me, Pitt covers. So first 2 games, Pitt covers, Ohio State covers. The next thing, this one I had to break down because this one was close for me. It was Cincinnati versus Arkansas, which is that 22 versus 19 matchup. And Arkansas is a 6-point favorite. Okay, so Cincinnati is the underdog. And I was like, okay, this is going to be an easy one, right? Arkansas was ranked 21st in offense. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a no-brainer. Cincinnati was ranked 28th. So, okay, well, you got to think SEC, right? The 2 different divisions, that has a factor in it. So let me move on to that. Arkansas ranked 17th on defense. Cincinnati ranked 8th, but they lost sauce. Okay, not a lost sauce in that defense now. But look, ranked 8th. I don't think they dropped that much farther. Pretty close to me. Pretty close. This is where the separation comes in. And this is why I'm picking Arkansas to cover the 6.5. Arkansas had the 8th hardest schedule, which is what I was referring to just a second ago about the conferences, while Cincinnati had the 28th hardest schedule. Again, still not as far as I was expecting, but I think with Arkansas leading the way on offense, not being far behind on defense, but having a pretty hard schedule, a harder schedule, I think Arkansas is going to be a real threat this year, and I think they cover the -6 very easily. Those are your first 3 games right there. Okay, we're moving and grooving on that. Next, we have, of course, this might be a homer pick. At 100% is a homer pick. This could be where the parlay falls apart because there's a lot of emotion here. Florida versus Utah. Florida gets 3 points. I said keep your 3. I don't want them. I don't even need to talk about this. There's a whole 30-minute video about me saying why I'm picking Florida. And and Utah fans, it was a reasonable video, okay? So you can suck it, all right? I just smashed my tooth there. Florida covers. They don't need straight up. They don't need the 3 points. Let's take the extra juice there. And then I wanted to take a step out a little bit. I wanted to get a little dicey here. Not all the big games. USC versus Rice. USC is favored by 32.5. Now, this is where things could get a little frisky. Do we get another member? Let's go, Chris Sorley.
Chris Sorley.
You guys are amazing. I got to add you guys to the duck race. I love it. Rice, USC minus 32.5. Okay. That is what they have to cover. So I did some research. I went back and looked at the past 3 years for Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley and what he did at Oklahoma. When matched up against tiny schools like Rice, outside of Tulane last year, which that's kind of the same boat, but we're going to ignore that. The next game was a blowout. Were won by 50-plus points or more. It was like 72 to like 14 or 72 to 0. They don't hold any punches. And I think USC, scratch that. I know USC wants to come out and lay some grenades. With Caleb Williams there, they got the number one receiver from Pitt coming there as well. That offense is going to be explosive. Their defense was a little bit weak. I looked up other points that didn't support my argument, but this is an emotional decision based on past history on why I'm going with USC over Rice for 32.5. That is the 5th game. And the 6th game is Georgia and Oregon. Okay. 17.5, minus 17. I said Georgia does not cover here. And this is not taking a shot at Georgia by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh,
Georgia's thin on defense. Okay, they lost a lot of defense, which is I'm not knocking on. I'm not saying they're not going to win the game. If you go back to that first game last year against Clemson, it was like 10-3. Okay, not a lot was going on there. I think that's going to come about to it. Bo Nix, which is a SEC style name, upset that he's over there in Oregon, is going to have an impact on that and keep it closer than I think people realize. And I think 17 is a little bit disrespectful in my opinion. And I want to say it's in a neutral site, if I'm not mistaken, or is it? It is, right?
It is. Yeah, it's in like I want to say the Mercedes Bowl or where is this thing? It's a neutral site, but it's not neutral. It's almost like the LSU FSU game that's being played in New Orleans. It's not really neutral, but let me confirm this puppy.
So I like it. Those are my 6 picks. That's the parlay leg there for you. Look, and Bo Nix could pull up an upset here and get it done. So that is the 6-leg parlay. If you guys want to hop in on that on my bookie, you can check that bad boy out because that's going to be a fun one. All right, Stevie, what do you have for us, my friend?
All right, so we do have some similar picks here, but I'm going to start off with a couple of Thursday night games. Guys, let's be honest. Thursday night, it's the kickoff of the college football season. We got a couple of good games going down. First and foremost, we have Ball State at Tennessee. One, who doesn't love saying Ball State? Tennessee is giving 35 points they're giving up on this thing. Tennessee, their defense was like, I want to say 8th in tackles for loss last year. They had a decent enough football team to make a run. I'm going to go with Tennessee to cover the 35. So Tennessee with the 35 at Tennessee, Thursday night game, kickoff college football. Also on Thursday night, tomorrow night, we have Pitt, West Virginia, like you mentioned. Pitt only given 7.5. It's oh boy.
Let's go TK Gator Nation.
TK Gator Nation. Oh, let's go, baby.
Right now.
I love it. Look, the funny part is you mentioned it. It's the battle of former USC quarterbacks. You got Kedon.
Oh, that's
Slovis.
true.
What in the world is going on?
Gee, Winnie became a member. We're gonna hit 60 quick, boys. Let's get it. Oh, we're gonna be handing out tickets tonight, boys and girls. My goodness.
My goodness.
Woo!
Yeah, but both quarterbacks are former USC. So you got JT Daniels out in West Virginia. You got Slovis at Pitt. Pitt's defense is so good. With West Virginia going through a little bit of a change at the quarterback position, I think Pitt gets the W. They cover the spread. I'm going to throw one in here that's going to be a little spicy, maybe for some folks that are on the chat. We got the Utah State Aggies versus the Alabama Crimson Tide, the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide.
Here we go.
It's a 41.5 point spread. I'm going to take Utah State to not lose that game by 41.5 points.
Okay, so Bama does not cover then.
They don't. They don't. And I only say this because I think that Bama is going to jump out to such a fast lead that they're going to look to get their starters off the field by the middle of the third quarter, and then that's where things can maybe stay a little bit stagnant in that game. But I think that Utah State, the Aggies, can stay within that 41.5 spread. You and I just talked about UGA, Oregon. I love your proper pronunciation of the state of Oregon. Look, UGA, Georgia, lost a ton of talent to the NFL. But even with those losses, I don't see Bo Nix going out to Oregon and being able to even stay on the field with UGA. It's a 17-point spread, I believe, and it's closer to UGA for the.
It's in Atlanta. It's in Atlanta.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
it's at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So basically, it is home field, but it's technically in a neutral site.
So it's basically the equivalent of the LSU game, right? So we're playing it kind of in their backyard, but not a home game. Notre Dame, Ohio State. Look. CJ Stroud had a great year last year. Trayvon Henderson, 1,200 yards. He also had 4 receiving touchdowns, and that's just their stud running back. They've got just 2 or 3 more that they can plug in. The game is at Ohio State. Notre Dame has a new head coach. He was an internal hire, so he came from Brian Kelly's staff, so I think there's a little bit of an ease of transition. But I don't think that Notre Dame can stay on the field with Ohio State. Another 17-point spread, if I'm not mistaken, but Ohio State covers that bad boy at home on the kickoff of college football. And then I'm going to throw an ugly game out here. I'm going to throw an ugly game out here that has a team with a bit of history.
Okay,
I'm going to rely on that history
to
make a little bit of an unorthodox pick.
We're listening.
North Carolina Tar Heels are going to
the basketball
Appalachian State. Yes, it's the basketball school.
Beautiful campus.
Are going to Appalachian State. Why the Tar Heels don't feel like they can get Appalachian State to come to them, don't know, won't ask. UNC is favored minuscule amount, less than 2 points. Now, I remember a long time ago when Appalachian State went to the Big House in Ann Arbor against Michigan, and they played them toe-to-toe, and Michigan needed a missile of a field goal.
Would you say a piss missile, eh?
A piss missile, eh? And they got it blocked. And Appalachian State blocks the kick, and they run it back, and they just run out of bounds. And Appalachian State rocks the world, and a Division II school beats a top 10 Division I school. It was the first time it had ever happened.
Steve reaching all the way back to the Holodex, okay? The Holodex of college football games to bring the juice.
But Appalachian State is going up against North Carolina. At Appalachian State, that place is buried in the mountains. It holds sound like you've never believed. Appalachian State is going to beat North
Straight
Carolina.
Straight up? No points.
No points, baby. I just want App State, baby. Give me App State all day. I hate to say it, North Carolina is going down.
And those are your picks. I believe we put $10 on yours, and it was like a $450 payout with yours. So that's the parlay. You guys got some individual picks there as well, some knowledge, a little bit of juice. We'll come back next week. We'll come back on Sunday and see how we did. We'll pull up the records. We'll keep a running tab of this and see how we do. We got some wild little Utah love in here.